blending is such a fun technique when it comes to your card making. Today I'm showing you 3 ways to add ink blending to your cards in slightly different ways, and also featuring 3 different ink blending colour combinations that I've featured on my channel before. So if you're new to ink blending or want to step up your ink blending technique, this is the video for you. I'm Verity and welcome to my YouTube channel and blog Pretty Little Button, where I make paper crafting tutorials for the everyday crafter. I'm using some of the new release from Catherine Paula's Designs Just a Note collection. I'm using the new stencil and flower stamp from the Big Blossoms bundle. So as I mentioned, I'm going to feature some ink blending colour combinations I've used on my channel before. And whenever I make them, I keep them on a big swatch ring, so I've always got them to hand to decide which colours I want to go for. In addition, if you know Catherine Paula, she has 2 collections, the Party collection and the Spa collection. The Party are the bright colours, the Spa are the more muted tones. But she's also brought out colour wheels for all of her ink collections. So if you're unsure as to what colours to go for, you can use these colour wheels to help you pick and select your colour combinations. So my first tip when it comes to ink blending is to use a non-slick surface. A silicone mat is really good. You can get these from Waffle Flower with their mixed media mat. This is also new stamping mat. You can pick them up with blending mats as well from Ranger Ink. Also, a glass media mat also just works as well. A smooth surface really helps to ensure you get a good blend. I'm also going to be using some of the Catherine Paula blender brushes, and depending on the size of the cardstock you're blending on, will depend on the size of the blending brush that you want to use. Now, I didn't have enough large blending brushes for all of my inks today, so I am using some of the smaller sizes as well. It just means it takes a little bit longer for the ink colour to build up. So for the first colour combination, I am using, this is Hot Tub, which is in the Spa collection, and I am mixing it with 2 Party collections, which are the brighter colours. Now, you don't tend to mix Spa and Party, but in art, you can do what you want really. So I'm starting off blending off of the mat and bringing the ink on, and I have sped this up because otherwise we would be here for a very long time seeing all the ink blending going on. Now I blend off the mat in circular motions onto the cardstock, and I also tap off some of my ink before I go onto the cardstock. This will try and prevent any harsh markings occurring when you're blending. You also want to overlap your colours to get a better blend, a smoother blend. And the next colour I used was All That Jazz. Now for the last colour I'm using is Uptown, which is a beautiful rich dark teal blue colour. And this one I did have a big blending brush to be able to do that. And as you can see, it blended really quickly using a bigger brush. Now I'm stepping up this ink blending background by adding some more ink blending over at the top of the stencil. So where the stencil design will be, you'll still have that ink blending beneath, but it will be a lot paler. I'm just going back in with the exact same colours again. So I start off with my Hot Tub, overlapping the Hot Tub where I originally put it on the cardstock, just darkening that part of the cardstock. Of course, where the stencil is, it will not darken up at all at that point. I then do the same with All That Jazz, again making sure I overlap my colours to ensure I get a better blend between the colours. And this is a great way to use a background if you didn't get perfect blending to begin with, because you can often go back over and cover up some of those mistakes, cover up any of the areas where the blending isn't perfect. And the stencil design will distract the viewer from any imperfections that you may feel you have on your ink blending background. So with the peeler reveal, as you can see, we have that beautiful ombre, not only in the stencil design, but in the background as well. So to finish this card off, I trimmed the panel down and added it to a white card base, and then I stamped one of the flowers from the Big Blossom stamp set in Limoncello and Tiara, and added a few leaves as well as Says Sentiment to finish the card off. I also embellished the card with a few sequins from the Park Avenue sequin mix. For this second ink blending colour combination, I am going for a lovely blue colour combination. So I'm starting off with Cummerbund ink, which is a very soft, bright pastel blue. And I'm using a blending brush to fade this out to white. I find these blending brushes allow you to get a much more softer blend and allow you to fade out to white a lot easier. So if you struggle getting that gradual blend into a white with the blending sponge tools, then try these blending brushes because they allow you to do a much more softer blend. The second colour I'm then going in with is Fiesta Blue, which is a little bit more of a darker cummerbund. when I'm tapping off the ink excess, I like to tap it off into the lid because then you're not wasting that ink. You can use it later if you want to colour with that ink or you want to use it for blending. That ink isn't being wasted as much and you can reuse it when you close your ink pad up. The last colour I'm going in with is Dress Blue, which is a beautiful, rich, dark navy blue, but it's a lovely bright blue. And when I was creating this, although I wasn't creating a Christmas card, I did think this blend would make a beautifully soft winter night sky. Just that snowy winter's look to it. Now, I'm going to show you later that I stamp over the top of this. And I made a few mistakes when I was stamping it. I was cleaning my stamps and my fingers got a little bit wet. The stamps got wet and I didn't dry them. And because Catherine Pooler inks are water reactive, when those wet patches or wet stamps touched the background, it caused the ink to react. Now, I didn't throw this panel away, didn't give up on it because I loved the blend and I just want to show you that you can create a card even if you make a mistake. Just cover it up with some embellishments or some stamped designs. So, as I said, I was stamping over the top of this and I'm stamping with Dress Blue. So this is another way to use your ink blended backgrounds, is to stamp over the top of them once you've blended them. And I'm stamping some of the flowers from the Big Blossoms stamp set that came out in the Just a Note release. And I'm using sort of a tone-on-tone look to it and it gives a real interesting look to the background. Remember to rotate your background around so you can stamp all sides. And also stamp off the edge as well to give that more natural, realistic look to the design. I also heat embossed a selection of these images as well, and then coloured them with the direct to paper method of using the same coloured blues as the background, and use the coordinating dies to cut these out. And then I just added these over the top, and these stamped and embossed designs also helped cover up those little imperfections. In addition, I added some splatter using the same colour inks, just smushing the pad down onto my acrylic block and then spritzing with the water to create my own ink splatter. I finished the card off with a stamped heat embossed sentiment in metallic rich gold and trimmed the panel down onto a white card base. So for the last ink blended card, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start ink blending in the middle of the card. Rather than off the card and bringing ink onto it, I'm stamping directly in the middle. Now you might be a bit scared about doing this, but because I know I was going to put some stamped images over the top where I started the ink blending, I didn't have to worry that it had to be perfect. If there was any imperfections, it was okay, it was going to be hidden. So for this ink blending colour combination, I'm starting off with Sweet 16 ink, and then I'm just blending this out, and I'm doing a circular motion. I want this to create like a halo effect around my stamped images when I eventually do put them on. I'm then going to darken this up a little bit, and I'm starting with Flirty Fuchsia, so this blends lovely into that soft Sweet 16, and the Sweet 16 is going to be the colour that fades out to white all around the edges. Flirty Fuchsia then darkens that up, and then I really want to intensify that colour even more. And I'm using Glam to do that. So I'm just adding some Glam ink right at the centre, really rich, intensifying that rich colour. Now, when I was creating this card, I was like, what colour should I do with these purples? Of course, I reached for my Catherine Pooler ink colour wheel, and this is in the party collection. So all of these 3 colours feature in the party collection. And I used that wheel to then find out the complementary colour to these colours. Now before I go on and talk to you about what colour I chose, I then wanted to add a little bit of clear water to reactivate the ink and add a little bit of splatter to that background and interest. So I just splattered some clear water with a paintbrush, allowed it to settle there for a little bit, and then put a cloth over the top just to pick it up and intensify that colour. So as I was mentioning, I was choosing a colour that would go with the pinks, and these are the red violets in the party collection. The complementary colour of red violets would be the greens, and I went for Melon Ice and Martini. I stamped the outline images from the Big Blossom stamp set in Melon Ice, and I used a Tombow clear pen to colour those in with the ink pad. And then I also stamped a few of the leaves in Martini and finished the centres with that Glam for the flowers. I also stamped a sentiment from the Notes of Love stamp set and cut this out with a coordinating die. So out of these 3 cards, which is your favourite? For me, because I do love blue, I have to say it's the blue blended background, but I really loved having a play about with ink blending. Let me know in the comments below which is your favourite technique out of the 3 ink blending techniques I've showed you today. If you're interested in any of the products used in the video today, just check out the description box below or head over to the blog for more details. If you're new to the channel, why not think about subscribing? You can hit that bell icon to be notified when my next video is up. Until next time, happy crafting!